Welcome back. We thank you so much for staying with us here on SA Today. Now, the Sports, Arts and Culture Minister Nathi Mthethwa has assured organizations that are representing artists that the department will meet with them to forge a way forward on financially assisting those in the sector who have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 coronavirus. Minister Mthethwa says a large number of COVID-19 relief fund applicants have not qualified to receive funding after not meeting the criteria. Addressing the media a little earlier today in Pretoria, the minister says a relief fund of about 150 million rand is available for artists and athletes. We talked to the president of the Creative Industries Federation of South Africa, CCIFSA, Tony Kgoroge, on the line, and I'm also joined by Jack Devnarain from the SA Guild of Actors. Gentlemen, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
All right, so Jack, let's start with you. Surely you've interacted with your members. Today is day 39 of the lockdown. How has it been for the industry at large?
There's generally been a reaction of urgency, of desperation, of deep concern. Performers have been looking for some kind of income relief for a long time, and since the minister's initial announcement of the 25th of March, people had an idea that they might be able to qualify for a portion of the 150 million rand that was initially mentioned. Since then, people have been applying themselves to whatever various forms of funding was available. And of deep concern now is that only a small fraction of the number of artists who have applied do in fact qualify. And I think the minister tried to address this in his media announcement today. From SAGA's side, unfortunately, we believe it's far too little, it's too late. We believe that now is not the time for the minister to be saying, well, maybe we could consider a second round of funding. We don't know how we're going to do that. We don't know how to apply new criteria. We might have to get new people to supplement the adjudication, and we are still to have a conversation about it. In that context, there are desperate artists out there who really don't know what's going to be the next step. So to have the minister say to us, well, we are going to engage in another conversation is cold comfort. All right.
So, Tony, as the minister said that we're looking at about 150 million rand for this relief fund, Jack says it's not enough. What's your take on that? Because we understand that it's 20,000 rand kept at per applicant.
Yes, it is. You know, we actually faced with a bigger challenge than that. And at some point, I think maybe we should not even blame the government for it. Our problem is that our sector is not organized. You know, like with sport, I hardly hear people from sport complaining like we complain, or being in the position that we are in right now. Because with sport, they are so organized that I think even their application even took a month to be sorted out, because they know who, where is who, and what are they doing, and what events are they having, and so on and so forth. With us, it's a bit difficult with this people not coming together and working as one unit to make sure that at least we can organize ourselves and make sure that we do right things. And the minister was even talking about the applications that were not filled and the forms that were not filled correctly. Things like, those are tedious things that organizations, if we organizations had to come together and get the members in to come and help them to do those kind of things, or get people who are expertise in helping in dealing with government, because artists don't know anything about government processes, most of them. So they needed help to be put at that point. And yes, I do agree that 150 million is too little. But when the Honorable President was starting the lockdown, when he started with 21 days of lockdown, I think most of the artists started relaxing, and mostly those who had contracts, to think that no, after 21 days we'll continue with contracts. So when the Honorable President came back and he said he's extending it, I think that also pressed, there was a panic button that got into, and mostly to productions, then production started suspending contracts from artists, and those artists who did not apply also, if you think about them, if you think about the money that is being sent, if we had to take them back and say, let's go back and reapply, it might cause a little bit of a problem. That 150 million, I think it might not be enough.
All right, so Tony says that the problem with this industry is it's not as organized as other sectors. And we had Minister Mthethwa saying that a large number of COVID-19 applicants have not qualified to receive this funding because they did not meet the criteria. Are you talking to your members? Are they even aware of this fund and how they should go about getting this money?
SAGA has a mandate to put out communications like this. We have issued communiques connecting with our members to make sure that they understood that the fund available through the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture was just one option. There were various other funding opportunities. So SAGA had a lot of work to do, and we take that very seriously. We made sure that we had put out as much communication as was possible, because the situation was so serious, it is so desperate. And yes, I believe to a large extent the sector itself is not organized in the way that sports is organized. I believe the minister made that comparison in his media statement today. I also feel that it would be unfair to have a comparative look at sports up against arts and say then that arts is not structured correctly, it's not properly organized. The truth of the industry is that it has always been this way. There are a number of organizations who are particularly effective in managing their members, in organizing operations, in executing its mandate. So it's something that we have to work within, in the same way that the minister himself admitted that the industry does not work in a simple system where if a production is not going to happen because of the lockdown, you will simply be issued a letter to say that this production is now cancelled. You are now permitted to apply for income relief. The minister pointed that out in his announcement today. So even he is aware that there are protocols and there are systems within the industry that do not fit within a simple corporate system. And to try and impose a model that you might find in the corporate world or in the sporting world upon this industry, I'm afraid you're going to find that it's going to be an unfair comparison and a mismatch.
Yeah, we had one of the veteran actresses, Lilian Dulu, was basically saying that the problem that faces actors and actresses is bigger than what the COVID-19 is. So we understand that the minister will be meeting with the sector. What are you hoping will come out of this particular meeting, Tony?
Well, Minister is a very understanding minister, and I think he will have to put his ear to the sector and really hear what our problems are. And mostly because, I'm just thinking out of my head that imagine meeting a sector where you don't know who's who, and you cannot identify an actor from an actor, because everybody's an actor now. We don't have a system where we can we can validate who's an actor and who's not an actor. We don't have a system where we can say, okay, this is an amateur actor, this is a professional actor, this is whatever actor. We don't have those systems. So even if you go into that, you can imagine the challenge that the minister is going to be faced with. But in also talking to what you were saying earlier, I'm sorry, I wanted to correct you that I'm not the president of CCIFSA. I'm the former president, and the president of CCIFSA is Ms. Joy Mbewan, who was also part of the adjudication that the minister has put down for this COVID relief. And but obviously I'm still working under those her instructions as the president now. But what the issue that I wanted to raise was that thing of saying that the most important thing that maybe the minister will have to pay attention to is that with artists, if you do not work, you don't get paid. That's the first thing. And it's not about the events that were cancelled or anything like that. It's about the person who has lost work from the day the lockdown was announced. They say, I'm not working, and then some of the people are getting paid per call. That means the day you come to set, then we're counting that until maybe if you come for 30 days, we'll pay you for those 30 days. So those people as well are people who have to be highly considered, you know.
All right, I'm afraid we've run out of time. We have to leave the discussion at this, but thank you so much for coming through. Many thanks there to my guests. We had Tony Kgoroge on the line. He's the former president of the Creative Industries Federation of South Africa, CCIFSA. We also had Jack Devnarain from SA Guild of Actors talking to us about how the COVID-19 coronavirus has affected this sector. More so, this conversation we're having post the media briefing by the Arts and Culture Minister Nathi Mthethwa, who's made that announcement that an amount of 150 million rand has been set aside in a relief fund aimed at helping all the actors, the artists, as well as the athletes.